you know, but that's not the only thing. That's not even the main thing. So to only focus that, it shows the limited mindset that we have been ingrained or conditioned or whatever the case may be. So we are here now and been here for a while and probably will be here consistently more to educate the masses on the proper, proper polygyny, as well as being able to increase your emotional intelligence and be able to have the forbidden conversation in a proper fashion. And that's what I had to say.
One of the things that ends up happening, it depends on the couple too. Because if you're not protecting your marriage and you're just protecting yourself from your marriage, there's a problem. And another thing is when we don't have marriages where you can develop into this. So I'm not saying it just starts this way at all. Because if you've not been married before, you're kind of trying to design it as you go. But one of the things about not having the forbidden conversation is that when we don't have it, we're not facing reality. And when we don't face reality, the conversation goes underground. And when the conversation goes underground, that doesn't manifest trust. It doesn't create trust. It denies it. It'll deny it. Because a lot of times what women want is safety, emotional safety. However, we might be creating emotional chaos if we don't want to have the conversation about anything in our marriage. There should be this. There should be us having the ability to have any conversation that we need to have without saying to our spouse, I don't trust you with my fear. Because that's really what we're saying when we don't want to have these conversations. That's anything in marriage. The polygyny is just a part of my life because of Coach Nazir. Is it my entire life? Does my world revolve around it? No, it can't. It can't, because I'm not the husband. So I don't need to step into his shoes and go, well, you know what? I have to do what you do. I have to say what you say. I have to have the responsibility. I don't want that responsibility. And I also don't want to shoulder all the issues or all the wins in my marriage. I don't want to do that. So one of the ways that we can avoid being in pain is stop avoiding these conversations and also stop calling them forbidden. Stop making it forbidden. Stop making the conversation punishable. Because how are we going to get clarity and how are we going to lower anxiety if we don't want to bring it up? And I would tell men this because I would tell this to my sons as a wife, as a mother to them. Don't make your life a place where you feel like you have to hide from yourself, from your family. So I was talking to our 18-year-old son, and it was just a casual conversation about polygyny. And I said, as your mother, I want to tell you something that's very important. And I want you to know it. He's probably heard all kinds of stuff and seen me, struggle or whatever the case may be, but he was raised in polygyny. However, he's got older sisters. So I told him, I said, listen, I want you to do something for yourself. And I'm just speaking to you as your mother. I said, I don't want you to deny yourself polygyny because your wife's feelings might be hurt. Have the conversations that you need to have as a man and sit down and talk about it. But I don't want to see you take something away from yourself because you're controlled or you feel controlled by someone else's emotions. Although you may love them very deeply, don't let that love for them stop you from fulfilling something that you want to do as a man. Now, I can't teach him anything about being a man outside of motherly advice from what I have seen from his father, but he'd be the primary source of those teachings. But he had to hear it from me in that way as his mother. I said, I'm a woman, I'm telling you now, before you get married, don't put yourself at a deficit and say, well, I don't want to do that. You don't know who you're going to be. You don't know who you're going to be later on in life. You don't know who you're going to be next week. So if he has a goal to get married, I don't want him to take that off the table for himself. But if he wants to have the conversation, let the marriage be a safe space, even though these conversations are not easy, like Coach Nyla was saying. It's not about necessarily, we got to seek perfection in this conversation. You're not going to get that. You didn't have that in monogamy, and you're not going to get in polygyny. Polygyny has to be perfect. We put it in our mind. If it's not perfect, I don't want it. And if he doesn't do it with perfection, I don't want him. I don't want the marriage. I don't want the family. Just throw everything out the window. But you didn't have perfection in monogamy. So these conversations might be difficult. They might be hard. But again, they don't have to be hostile. They shouldn't be hostile because it's difficult coming back from that, if you can come back from it. So starting off strong is important.
So true. The other thing is that, Coach Fatimah discussed about the safe space and wanting to feel safe and secure. I talk about that in my course, as well as we talk about it in the playbooks. Because when it comes down to it, we do want to feel that safety, that security. However, one of the things I realized has been so hard, and why things have been so hard, because we have been conditioned for survival as women, and lack, scarcity, certain things that it's where if I don't have this, or if this person has this, if this person has this thing that I don't have, then I'm lacking. Or if we had this thing where people would say, well, she took this from me. She took the time from me. It took my husband from me. It took my family from me. It took whatever is a lot of the scarcity, the lack, the competition, these things. And yes, because we want safety and security and things as far as that, when we feel that something is threatening our livelihood, threatening our space, our safe space, so to speak, then we get into survival mode, defense mode, fight, flight, or freeze mode. So a lot of the challenges come out, a lot of the insecurities come out, a lot of the jealousies, a lot of these different things start to surface. And that's when we talk about and we teach about different ways to regulate yourself. So you start to see these things. So you see what these triggers are, see what these things are, because later, maybe earlier in your life, you had abandonment issues. Maybe earlier in your life, you had things that have caused some where you think that you're going to be left, or something was taken from you. And I've seen that over and over and over again. It's not that these things have not happened. The things have happened. No one is negating that. However, it's a book that's called The Courage of Being Disliked. And one of the triggering things that is said in there was talking about trauma and talking about how it's pretty much what we make it. Not saying that it doesn't happen, not saying that whatever happened to you did not exist. It's what we put, it's the meanings that we put on these things. So when it comes down to it, if you have a particular way of life, like I'm used to big families. That's how I came from, a big family. My cousins are like brothers to me. I have a female cousin that's like a sister to me. These different things like that. And when there's something different in my life, changes that have happened and everything like that, then I'm put in a way where now I'm anxious. When we talk about anxiety, and it's the words and the meaning that we put on him. Like, is it exciting or is it anxiety? It's the same feeling. It's the same feeling, but what word are we putting on it? What meaning are we putting on it? So when I started shifting my thinking to saying, okay, this is exciting, or okay, I'm going to calm myself down because I know what that feels like. I know how I get my chest get tight or my face get flush or these type of things like that. I can understand that. Now I have to learn how to communicate that to whoever I'm talking to, whether it's my co-wife, whether it's my children, whether it's, our husband or anything like that, and being able to grow from these things, because challenges could be stepping stones to helping you grow and to actually connect more with each other instead of causing conflict to push you away. So I've learned that over the years that, it's not about, like Coach Fatimah talked about, it's not about being perfect or having this perfect conversation or making sure that no one gets upset or angry or mad. It's to the point, or sad, so to speak. It's like, okay, can we have this conversation? Can we figure out, why is it triggering? Why is it a problem? And fix those or work on those things and say, what is the big picture of it all? And look at that big picture, and see if you guys are on the same wavelength. See if you are there for the bigger picture, for the long haul, for the big goal in mind, because that's pretty much what his stance is what's best for the whole family dynamic, not just for the one person, but for the whole.
Now, here's the challenge. Well, there's plenty of different challenges. Again, and we had to start this live in the session a couple different times, actually, because technology, it is what it is. But when it comes to polygyny, we're raising a society that says it's monogamy or nothing. All right, that's the legit form. It's monogamy or it's nothing. That's it. I'm gonna posit here that this is the first time in human history that has been a thing, and it's basically pressed and pushed by the West more than anything. But for the last century or two, out of all of human history, that's it. It's monogamy or nothing. And since we're born during that time, that we think that that's just what it is. Like, for example, we can go and just click a light switch, turn the lights on, turn the faucet, here's the water, talk to people all over the world without seeing the Wi-Fi signals and all the rest of this type of stuff. We're born into this in such a time that technology is ridiculous, and we don't have to necessarily work that hard in order to live and survive. Like, when was the last time you hunted for your food? You know what I'm saying? How many of us actually truly know how to garden where over 100 years ago, you know what I'm saying, it was most of the majority of the population thinking about the agricultural age. So with that being said, then we have to adjust for this change. Well, one of the adjustments comes is when we talk about polygyny, we're simply pro-morals. Whether you're monogamy, polygyny, whatever, we're simply pro-morals. But if polygyny is missing from that discussion, then you're leaving out who we are in historical context of relationships. All right, period. Like, that part matters. The challenge is when you condition, when it's this way or nothing, this way or nothing, this way or nothing. As a man, one of your challenges with having a conversation is like, okay, how am I feeling this way? I'm already married, you happen to be married or whatnot, and now I want to be married to somebody else or want another woman. Now you feel guilty or shame and stuff like that because you're in a society that says it's what it is. Versus, you need to become an exceptional man. You need to raise your frame, all right, in order to go ahead and provide and protect and raise this woman up to a position of honor, versus what our society traditionally does, and is definitely welcoming of. That's the girlfriends, mistresses, or any other names that you have for them, the side chick, the jump downs, the whatever, all of these types of names that are out there. You have women just looking for zaddies or sugar daddies, and well known, or you have these other apps where you swiping left and swiping right, or you got your hookup apps, or you have your OnlyFans, all of this stuff. But when it comes to polygyny, hey, hold on a minute now. You actually talking about marrying somebody else, take care of them, providing for the family and everything else. But I want to relegate that and throw shame on it by saying, oh, that's just for sex. When you have all of these easy means just for sex and your lust and to discharge that, versus actually building a family, knowing who the father is, parent is, being somebody's exceptional, being the leader, being there for the family. Yeah. But yet I can say, you know what? There are women who target married men, right? You'd be like, yeah, well, okay, there are, right? There's pages and channels like Baller Alert and stuff like that, right? So you look at that, then you also have today's society. We got a Stephon Diggs. How many females you have pregnant right now? Do we know? We lost half a dozen, something like that, including women that already have money with Cardi B, for example. Or what you got Elon on his 13th child, moving his ladies on his compound and stuff like that. Or you got Nick Cannon. How many he had last time? 12, 13, 10. I don't remember the numbers, but these are men that do have it. You have Cam Newton with his stuff. So you have so many different societal things, but we have an issue with polygyny. Look how backwards that is. But yet society's like, love is love. Until you're talking about polygyny and responsibility. Now, to be real, most men don't want to practice polygyny anyway because of the responsibility it takes. It's much easier to lie, play the role, to cater, pander to be king simp like Yada or the Derek Jacksons of the world. That's real easy. Tell them what they want to hear. But women kind of intuitively know, as you have many women want to check phones or ask it, and that's because they know that this man is not a monogamous man. Very few are. But if you are qualified or even strive to be in such a world where men have been emasculated and weak to even practice polygyny. Because again, it takes responsibility. And that part matters. So that is one of the challenges when it comes to being raised in society that's like monogamy or nothing, to have this conversation and think something is wrong with you as a man. And now you have these internal emotions and pullings like, well, I don't want to hurt her, but at the same time, want to expand a family, want to grow, yada, yada. And then we have this internal conflict as men. And when I talk to men, 90% of them will admit to me right away, yeah, I want to practice religion. I'm interested in that. But they don't feel they can say that at home at all. Why not? Why is that an issue? So, ladies, why would you say? I want to address this personally.
I'm gonna say something outside of what you're talking about, what you're saying. One of the things that English is not a rich language, but it does have these little passive aggressive undertones to it. And we've learned that because the family has traveled the world. So some of the words that they use in English, they don't use across the entire world. They don't have a use for them. So the word monogamy, one of the things that we hear when we say that word is monogamy. It's all about me and what I want. And then we become solo thinkers. One of the things that we can do as women, because the men aren't doing it, one of the things that we do is by pretending that our husbands don't want to practice polygyny, we're taking away the pain. We said, I'll just pretend. And I've said this before, and I mean it. Many women will say, well, you know what? Ignorance is bliss. I'm good. No, ignorance is tragedy. Who said that ignorance wasn't bliss, it was tragedy? Wasn't it Jim Rohn? Mm-hmm. He said it's tragedy. Why? Why is it? Because we're not informed. We're not informed. We want all the information, but we don't want to bring it up. We don't want to ask any questions. One of the most beautiful things that a man can say in polygyny, whether he wants it, whether he's practicing it, whatever the case may be, is I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I haven't thought that far ahead yet. Because we forget our husbands have this learning curve. And I'll give you 2 examples of different ways women have kind of dealt with polygyny. Now, this one client I had, her husband said, you know what, I want to practice polygyny. And she was like, oh, okay. I told her, I said, oh, you're Canadian. And we make this joke, you guys are so nice. She was like, I didn't feel nice inside, but, and we joked about the American Canadian thing. And I said, you know what, after some weeks of coaching her, I said, I dubbed them the dynamic duo. And she liked that. I did that. And I said, you know why I call you the dynamic duo? I said, because what you all did for your marriage is that you sat down, you talked about it. I said, now he's serious, very serious about it. And he knows you'll listen, even though you might be experiencing pain, jealousy. There's no other wife yet, but it's something that he wants to do. Now, there's other clients that I've had where their husband sat them down calmly, laid everything out, was very serious about his vision, the whole thing. Immediate explosion. And all what you're not, and all what you can't do, and all that this is gonna mean, and all it they immediately catastrophize the entire thing, the entire family. And I said, did you ever ask? Because I had to ask myself that instead of saying this won't work, how do you say, how can we make it work? How can we make it work? Because the funny thing that we want as women is reassurance, not realizing that our husbands are seeking the same thing, but the way they say it is loyalty. Men love respect and loyalty. So if they have a vision of what polygyny looks like, are we on board with it? Are we not? Are we in one day? Are we out the next day? Are we triggered too easily? Are we not regulating our emotions, like Coach Nyla was saying? What are we doing? Or are we sitting there going, monogamy is all about me? Skip him, be cute and all, but no, that's why they say the wedding is for the wife. The man just says, let me know when to show up and where. Because they don't, guess what they never ask for? Centerpieces. They never ask for it. They never ask what the chandelier and the lighting is going to look like, right? They don't ask where they're going to get their mani-pedi. They don't try to figure out if they're going to wear their hair down or up. They don't do those things, right? Because we've said the wedding is for the woman. It's programming. But there is, and people can get mad. They can get mad all they want to. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But it needs to be said. When we do that, then we end up with this tunnel vision, and nothing our husband says or brings to us really matters. It's like, okay, I don't like that, so that's out the window. Like, what is the statement they use? We're done having children. We're done having children. That's one of my favorites. We're done with that. What?
Ellis's.
We're finished. Or he needs to get snipped and all of these things. I've seen women sit there next to their husband and tell them they need to get snipped. Or we're done. We can't make that decision for them. So it's really interesting to understand that our marriages can transform. They can. And so can this conversation.
Indeed. So, all right, if you have some questions, comments, concerns, something that you want to ask us right now, please feel free to chime in. Go ahead, put some question marks in front of what you got to say, and we'll address it before we head out. Because for us,
it's later.
It's time to eat. You know what I'm saying? We want to definitely step in with you and see what's going on. How you feeling? So, alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all the Muslimin. Definitely appreciate you. Of course, for those who want to take their education to the next level, one of the foundational books people ask all the time, this right here, let's talk polygamy.com. Or if you want to know actually how to have an effective conversation, gentlemen, then go to polygamybooks.com where you can find our playbooks. Whether that's the frame playbook, the polygamy vetting playbook, or the forbidden conversation playbook. Those are the ones for men, and the ladies will share with you theirs as well, because of course we have ladies watching right now, and we'll also be watching the replay. So name your books, the playbooks.
Well, playbook is called the Developing Your Feminine Frame Playbook, and it comes with a companion journal as well, and that's on polygamybooks.com. Yes, that's the one, polygamybooks.com. But yeah, there are a number of books. But yeah, so which a bundle is coming soon. So.
And then mine is the Frame Playbook for Women, How Women in Polygynous Marriages Thrive and Not Just Survive.
So, and what it comes down to is discussing your feminine frame, the frame spectrum code, and we get into that a little bit more, and of course it's in the book, but what that looks like. And I've talked a lot about regulating your nervous system and your emotions and different things like that, because it's very important when we're having deep conversations like this. It's very important when schedules may change and things happen, unexpectedly, to be able to know how to handle these things and what that looks like, how to have the conversation, you know, whether it's a forbidden conversation, so to speak, or whether it's just an uncomfortable conversation. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we're uncomfortable, right? But it doesn't. You don't have to. You can have the conversation without your marriage falling apart.
Indeed. All right. Appreciate y'all. We're going to head on out.
Mhm.
It's late for us
Wow.
in the evening.
Yes.
That being said, rock on GOC.
Make sure you're growing intentionally.
Loving fearlessly
And connecting on a higher level.
every single
day.
day.
Make sure you go to polygamybooks.com and get your copies of the playbooks.
All right. So, whatever, y'all. Peace.